Unspoken Issues.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Unspoken Issues Podcast. We're talking 90s comics, believe it or not. I'm Jesse Starcher. Over there is Bevins. Evan, are you ready to talk some 90s comics?
I am always ready to talk 90s comics, I'm afraid.
And hot off the basketball court, one Chris Armstrong. Chris Armstrong, were you the ultimate man tonight? Were you draining threes?
Sadly, it was not my night at the basketball courts. Refocus and worry about the next game.
All right. Well, I know that 90s comics is your jam. So at least you're going to wrap this night up talking about feeling like you succeeded at something, I would assume. All right. Well, this was a poll that was born out of Evan Bevins' mind, if I remember correctly.
Heaven help us all.
Heaven help us all.
No, I said heaven.
Oh, he said heaven. Okay, all right. Well, why don't you tell the listeners how you came up with this one?
Well, you guys told me to come up with a poll, and I got nothing. No, I was just thinking about weird 90s comics that I liked and would like to talk about, and I realized that both Aztek, the Ultimate Man, and the Skrull Kill Krew were written by Grant Morrison and Mark Millar, who I always called Mark Millar, but I don't know which one's right.
Called him Millar all the time, and I've heard Miller a lot.
It's Miller.
Oh,
it's Miller.
All right.
I know because I've heard him address it before.
Oh, okay.
So both of these were, well, I don't know if it was before Morrison hit it big because he did Doom Patrol, which influenced the Umbrella Academy and subsequent Doom Patrol iterations. But Aztek, he started right before he became the main writer on JLA, which is where I got to know him. And then Mark Millar, he's done a ton of stuff. A lot of it's been adapted into other media. Huge influence on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, even though thankfully they didn't go the Ultimates route of, hey, it's the Avengers, but they're going to cuss and kill more. Sorry, that's my 20-year-old hot take on the Ultimates.
And Wanda and Pietro are actually going to be incestuous.
Oh, gosh. Horrible.
That wasn't
I didn't read it
until after Miller left the book.
Oh, really?
So, but this is 90s comics, and it's two of the most influential writers, I would say, in Marvel, DC, and beyond, teaming up for some offbeat stories, and we let the folks on the internet decide which one we were going to talk about.
Yes, we did. All right, so here are the results of the poll. We have Skrull Kill Krew coming in with a total of 15 votes out of 51, which leaves 36 votes for Aztek, the Ultimate Man #1, who is our reigning winner here out of this poll.
Oh, yeah. And I thoroughly enjoyed Aztek. I read a trade of it, and then I think it only went 11 issues, and I've got 9 of them. And there's still a couple out there I'm looking forward to complete the run, but I was a little surprised it won so handily. Because some people may not realize, love talking Aztek, but some people may not realize the premise of the Skrull Kill Krew.
I picked up, I can't remember, I think it was either Evan or maybe it was both you guys. I can't remember. Somebody started talking about Skrull Kill Krew when we were doing a podcast. I found a trade of it at half price books in Columbus, and I picked it up and I started reading it. I've got through about 3 issues, 2 or 3 issues. Why don't you explain the premise there, Evan?
Well, back in, I believe it was Fantastic Four #2, the original Fantastic Four #2, not the 78th Fantastic Four #2. That was the first appearance of the Skrulls, those darn shape-shifting aliens. Before they infiltrated society and posed as various and sundry superheroes, politicians, Don Cheadles, etc., they were giving the Fantastic Four problems, and Reed Richards solved it by hypnotizing them to shapeshift into cows that he just left in a pasture.
Yep.
That somebody then did what we tend to do to cows, and they wound up as burgers that some people ate, consuming Skrull DNA and giving them powers.
Oh, so good. So good.
And if you didn't know that was written by Grant Morrison and Mark Millar, you probably could have guessed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Grant Morrison, aside from just making stuff really weird, loves to bring the Silver Age into the modern age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that was the premise that sold me on picking it up. Was okay. This sounds like it will be interesting. And boy, is it it is tinged with a lot of violence. Surprise, surprise. Again, you look at this creative team, and that's kind of something you start to expect a little bit. But
I was asking who the artist on Kill Krew is. I've never read it.
well, that's a good question.
They did show up in Secret Invasion. Yeah.
Is that where 3D Man ended up being part of their team?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that in the series titled The Initiative, which too many people just assume is the trade dress that they put on a lot of books, calling it The Initiative when it wasn't really an event, and missed the fact that The Initiative was a really good series.
Agreed.
So our penciler was Steve Yoel, Yeowell.
That's how you spell YOLO.
Correct. If you look at what he's done prior to that book, DC's Invisibles, Sebastian O. He did some Action Force issues in the UK. I'm trying to see what other stuff that he did. He kind of a journeyman here. Skrull Kill Krew is the 1 through 5. He did those consecutively. He got onto Starman at one point, did a little bit of Starman. He's mostly a DC guy, but no big books that you would, unless you read Invisibles, which it looks like he has a bit of 1, 2, 3, and 4 of that, but that's it.
Yeah, that was one of Morrison's. Well, I started to say creator owned, but I guess not. But that was all Morrison.
It was Vertigo.
That wasn't a Justice League or Batman.
So that's obviously explains the tie here, because Morrison comes over to Marvel and Steve comes along with them. All right, well,
I've got a hot take.
Oh, okay.
I don't think Morrison or Miller are all that great.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm trying to think of some of the stuff.
I've been rereading Morrison's JLA, which I do. Most of the stuff of his Batman run, I think is really overrated. His X-Men run. The X-Men run is probably hurt a lot by the artist. The problems they had keeping the art teams on schedule and everything. There's a lot of bad artwork in some of those books. Maybe that's part of why I don't like him as much. But
his X-Men was... I was going to say his X-Men was influential. I didn't particularly care for it, but it's the one that made the school an actual school, and it really brought Emma Frost into the fold officially. I know she was on Generation X, but it really made her front and center. So, yeah, I was super excited when it was announced because, for my money, JLA is one of the best superhero runs. Morrison's JLA is one of the best superhero runs there is. And how awesome is your run when Mark Waid is your fill-in writer?
Right.
But so I was really excited, and I did not care for it, but he did really reshape the X-Men in the time he was there.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first arc, the Frank Wiley for Extinction, I think it's called. I think I kind of went in and out after the first year or so. I don't know that I've read the entire thing, but I was never super enamored with it. And a lot of his stuff just seems weird and confusing for the sake of being weird and confusing. Final Crisis. An example of that.
Now, I get why people like his Doom Patrol. I've read some of that.
Right.
That was kind of making Doom Patrol the weirdest superheroes on the block. So, yes, some of his stuff is hard to follow, although with him, I get the feeling that he knows what's going on, even if I don't.
Right.
Whereas some people, I have no idea what this is supposed to be. So sometimes with Morrison, I'm not sure what you're going for here, but I believe that
I do sometimes think Morrison books they really hurt from the monthly schedule. If you were just sitting and reading them consecutively in a graphic novel or something, they're probably a lot easier to follow and stuff like that.
And then I did enjoy, although I didn't finish it, and it's another one I've been picking up in back issues, his Green Lantern. He did some interesting stuff with Green Lantern.
The more recent one?
Yeah, including either introducing or bringing back a Green Lantern whose head was an active volcano. So that guy, then I'm focusing on other characters. Forget Hal Jordan. I need this guy. So yeah, it doesn't always connect. Miller, again, you can't argue that he's not influential, but I just haven't gotten into a lot of his stuff. It's like the gritty, realistic kind of deconstruction stuff, which is not bad in and of itself, but I don't know. He just doesn't tend to run to my taste.
Yeah, with Miller, I think most of the Marvel, I don't know if he's done any DC stuff that I can think of off the top of my head.
I think they did Flash together before Mark Waid kind of.
Gotcha. But most of Miller's Marvel stuff I kind of liked, at least at the time. The Ultimates I loved. I've reread the first Ultimates probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it still looks amazing, but the writing doesn't hold up quite as well. I did like his Fantastic Four. He had a short run on that was good with Brian Hitch. He's good when he has an editor to rein him in. Most of that The first Kick-Ass is pretty good. There was one called Superior that was kind of Shazam, Captain Marvel type, and it was okay. That Lionel Yu did the art in. I haven't read any of that since probably around the time that Superior book came out, which was over a decade ago. I kind of gave up around the time of Nemesis. So
you're not a regular visitor to Millar World.
No. I do, again, like the stuff that he's done mostly with when he's got some editorial control, maybe reining him in. But other than that, I haven't liked his. What about you, Jesse? Have you got an opinion on these guys at all?
I was just
He's
looking
still
over...
tallying up the poll results. Give me
a second. I'm doing math. So I was just kind of looking over what I've read from Grant Morrison. And yeah, Doom Patrol is the one that sticks out to me. I read all of 52. That was apparently... Yeah. I remember getting that from the library, and I was hooked. You mentioned the X-Men... So he comes on for New X-Men at number 114 in 2001 with E is for Extinction. Yep. And I think I remember reading a little bit of that. And I thought I dug that as well. I'm taking a look through here just to see, man, he has got he's writing and writing and writing and writing.
I'm clearly in the minority on both counts because these guys are both really popular writers.
Right. Well,
get why you might not connect with some of the Morrison stuff. There's stuff of his that doesn't connect with me. A lot of it may be a little my knee-jerk defense of Michael Bay. Oh, that Michael Bay movie was terrible. And I'm like, but The Rock and Armageddon.
Yeah.
So somebody's like, I didn't really like that Grant Morrison thing. I'm like, I'm sorry, have you read JLA?
Yeah, that's right. We covered a JLA, I think, on here at one point.
Oh, yeah, Rock of Ages. I still need to read that because I've read that. I still need to listen to that episode because I've read Rock of Ages many times and I still don't understand it. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
It was a good story. I never read any Animal Man.
Oh, yeah.
Never read any of that.
Basically, a bunch of crap happens to Animal Man and he ends up confronting Grant Morrison about it.
Oh, it gets that meta.
Yes.
Oh, boy. All right, then.
I used to want to read that Animal Man run until I heard about that.
The meta-ness?
I do think that sounds stupid, but it may be interesting in the book. Who knows?
As for Millar, prior to us getting into Aztek, Swamp Thing 140 all the way up to what looks 168. So that's from 94 to 96. And he continues to write Swamp Thing through Aztek up to 171 and then stops in August of 96. So now Swamp Thing, all the tales that have been told with Swamp Thing. But have I read any of what Millar did? No, I didn't read anything there. So
spoiler alert, Jesse, Heather Locklear doesn't appear in any of those issues.
Your time.
But yeah, he is, my goodness, the credits here on Mike's Amazing World are all DC from 94 to first Marvel comic that he apparently is credited for. Let me just double check this. Yeah, it happens in 2000 with Marvel Comics X-Men #1. He's apparently on the Authority around 2000 as well. Writes some Authority issues. He's in some Ultimate X-Men from issue. Oh,
if you're European, if you're a European writer, you have to write the Authority at some point, right?
Right.
If you wanted to see Captain America get raped with a...
Oh, no.
You really don't need to finish that sentence to make your point.
It's a streets with...
Oh, my gosh, a jackhammer?
A jackhammer, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, that ain't right.
But don't worry, that's only because Captain America raped Batman's boyfriend.
What
first.
in the world?
These are obviously stand-ins for those.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Not really. But.
Millar seems to work through a lot of stuff. That's just...
I guess that's one way you could describe it.
Puts it all on the page. Yeah. So Ultimate Fantastic Four, you mentioned Kick-Ass. I've never read the book, enjoyed the movie.
Thanks. I was actually wondering about if I should go back and read some early Authority, but I think I'm good.
You might.
Well, the Warren Ellis stuff's probably not quite as bad.
True.
I haven't actually read all of the Authority stuff, but I've seen enough.
There you go.
So you wouldn't call yourself an authority?
Correct.
Yes. Okay, there you go, folks. That is my opinion on
Jesse.
Evan.
Can I offer you a segue?
Please.
Who joined the JLA during Rock of Ages?
As a matter of fact, I do. I knew I had seen this guy before, and that was during Rock of Ages. So it's curious. Aztek, that's right. So, thank you. I was going to get there. The first appearance of Aztek is actually this book we're about to talk about. He wasn't in anything prior, as far as I could tell. So Aztek number 1 is our first introduction to Aztek, which, by the way, did they give his name here? He took up the name at the end, which is not his name. Kurt.
Shoot. I used to know that because it was on his HeroClix card.
Is it Uno?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I think that's what the wiki page called him, was something with a U.
It's a good thing you said that, Jesse, or you would have had to have drawn a card.
That's true. But we don't get his name at all in here. We just know that he showed up in this town and he's going to make a go of it. So prior to this, Rock of Ages is the only thing that I think I've ever read with Aztek in it that I can think of off the top of my head. Evan, were you picking up Aztek off the shelf?
I was not.
Okay.
I think I learned about Aztek through Wizard.
Oh, okay.
And
all right.
I wasn't reading JLA as it was coming out until probably the last third of Morrison's run, but I kept hearing I knew everything that happened in it because Wizard just gushed about it like they gushed about Astro City, and also like Astro City, it was as good or better as they made it out to be. For a while there, I was okay, we get it, it's the JLA, whoopty, and then I read it, and it really is that friggin' amazing. But yeah, so that's primarily where I learned about Aztek, and I thought a friend of mine recommended and loaned the trade to me, and I mentioned that to him, hey, we're doing a podcast, remember when you loaned me your Aztek trade? And he goes, I've never read Aztek. So I'm not sure where that came from, but I know I read it, and I know I liked it, and I know I've gotten most of the single issues.
Okay. Yeah, this dropped on sale date was June 19th, 1996. How about you, Chris? Aztek, the Ultimate Man. Were you reading any of this?
Negative. I've always been curious about Aztek because it came out in 96 and it was a brand new character. I'm usually at least interested, and he looks pretty cool on the cover there. So I've always been curious about Aztek. I've never read this series before. I've had it kind of on the back burner on Hoopla because it's been available, the trade's available there. Another one from this era, Tachyon, is one that a friend was a big fan of that had a similar short solo book around this same time from DC. So I've always kind of thought of those, kind of lumped those two together for whatever reason. But yeah, I always picture Howard Porter's Aztek because I'm pretty sure he did this cover.
Yeah, that does look Porter-esque.
And he said he appears in JLA later.
Yes.
Mostly Howard Porter and doing those issues.
I just pulled up Mike's Amazing World of Comics. Actually has the covers. I'll give it to you. It looks Porter-esque, but the penciler is N. Stephen Harris and inked by Keith Champagne.
Yeah, that's the artist on this issue.
Well, I just looked up Tachyon, by the way, because I did not know anything about Tachyon. Yeah,
he was a cosmic character, I think.
Right. First
right up your alley, Jesse.
June, nope. They do not call me the Cosmic Starch. June of 96 looks like the first appearance there, which is exactly on sale date of this character here, June 19th, 1996. So yeah, our writers... So in
your mind, they're the Sleepwalker and Darkhawk of DC.
Probably. There are so many Sleepwalkers and Darkhawks of DC for me, though. There are a lot of characters where I'm like, what? Who? Yeah, but Grant Morrison and Mark Millar can bring the heat when they want to. They can write a tale that is definitely different and will probably catch some eyes. So that's what we're doing here. Penciled, the issues penciled, and the cover credits there. And Stephen Harris, penciler. Keith Champagne on inks, lettered by Chris Eliopoulos, and colored by Michael Danza. So if you guys are ready, I'm going to go ahead and get into the synopsis here.
Synopsize away.
All right, now I'm going to read this, and the synopsis is pretty good. It's fairly decent, but I know there's definitely a mistake in here. So bear with me because I don't think I took it out. Here we go. In the heart of Vanity, a city teetering on the brink of chaos, a new hero emerges. The opening scene of this comic sets the stage with a dramatic entrance as Aztek, adorned in his gleaming mystical armor, surveys the urban jungle. The hero, dubbed as One for the New Millennium, is on a mission to bring hope to a place where fear reigns supreme. However, his initial steps are filled with challenges as he grapples with the mundane realities of securing a job and an apartment, only to be met with skepticism and bureaucratic obstacles. Aztek's struggle to fit into everyday society is palpable, making his journey relatable despite his extraordinary abilities. As Aztek navigates through the city's gritty streets, he goes to a bank if I remember correctly. I think this is how this is where the synopsis kind of breaks down a little bit. But
He does.
he ends up going to a bank because he's trying to. What is he doing at the bank? He doesn't even have a social security
He's trying to
card.
get some money.
Okay, all right.
That's it.
And that's all he's trying to do. He just knows that's
Yeah.
one place where to get some money.
He can't get an apartment because he doesn't have any money.
That's
Folks that trained him did a great job with the fighting and his overall mission, but they left out some important details.
Right. And specifically what the end of a line looks like and that you're supposed to stand at the end of the line. He gets a little flack from a couple of the citizens because he doesn't understand that he's supposed to stand at the end of a line. Anyway, as he's at the bank, a villain by the name of Piper wreaks havoc with a smoke-based attack sowing panic among the populace. Amidst the chaos, a far more menacing figure, Blood Type, makes his presence known. Blood Type's brutal force and disregard for life make him a formidable foe. First off, Blood Type is supposedly the hero in this situation, but he comes in and he really messes Piper up, right? There's nothing before that. He calls himself the Piper, right?
Yeah, this is his only appearance. He's retroactively made a classic villain.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
He feels like he came right out of Silver Age DC, which, again, Morrison, for all his postmodern weirdness, loves the old Golden and Silver Age comics. So, yeah, I had to look him up because I was like, has this guy appeared before? And he hasn't, but he feels like he has.
Okay.
I was curious if this was his first and only appearance. I kind of assumed it was, but I wasn't certain.
Gotcha.
I also was not something about. It seems we should know more about Aztek. I guess we're kind of picking it up as we go. But I just kind of assumed, did he have a first appearance somewhere else, and this is his first? But you said earlier, this was his first appearance. But
well, it's funny because that exact feeling is what crossed my mind too. I was expecting him to have done 2 or 3 pages in Batman, and then now he's showing up here. But no, that's not the case. So that's the style of writing. It just brings you into this world, and it's written like, you've known about that. You might have known about this guy beforehand, but yeah, I'm right there with you. I felt the same way. So anyway,
you feel as clueless as he does.
Correct. All right. So Blood Type shows up, the hero of Vanity, and he makes a mess of Piper. It's pretty bad. Now, Aztek, witnessing the mayhem, knows he must act. He confronts Blood Type, leveraging his armor and advanced technology to withstand and counter the villain's explosive assaults. The ensuing battle is fierce, showcasing Aztek determination and strategic prowess. The clash culminates in a dramatic showdown where Aztek uses his armor's capability to incapacitate Blood Type, triggering a seizure. I think that was his plan all along. He was going to shock him and cause a seizure, and neutralizes the threat. In the aftermath, though, Aztek finds Piper, and Piper explains that, hey, my name is Dr. Curtis Falconer, and you need to understand that there is help me, give me, what happens again there, Evan? Because
his daughter has been taken hostage by these basically gangsters who put him up to robbing this bank.
Okay. And so he is does he ask Aztek to help him out, help him find his daughter or help find his daughter or something? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So where was that? Right there. Okay. The encounter leaves Aztek with more questions than answers, but it also solidifies his resolve to protect the innocent and uncover the dark forces at play in Vanity. As emergency responders arrive and chaos settles, Aztek reflects on the heavy burden of his new role and the complexities of the threats that he faces. The issue concludes on a poignant note as Aztek, now deciding to go under the alias of Curtis Falconer, pondering his mission and the sacrifice it entails. I left out the one important part where Blood Type actually dies.
Yeah.
After the battle, there is, after he gets hit with this seizure, the emergency crew show up, grab everybody, and a lot of the nurses can't believe that Blood Type is there. Oh my gosh, it's Blood Type, this brutal hero that keeps Vanity safe. And then, Blood Type dies, but Aztek is able to save a lady who is in pretty bad shape. He uses some kind of powers. They don't really show what he does. I think he just lays hands on her or something, if I remember correctly. And everybody's like, "What? Who are you? What are you doing back here?" And that's where he says, "I'm Dr. Kurt Falconer." So he took the name of the Piper, and now I don't know if that's going to continue throughout the rest of the issues. He's going to report to work as Dr. Falconer.
It does, because Piper was supposed to start work at the hospital the next day in his civilian identity. He was retired from piping. Have we said that his costume is a pipe, as in a smoking pipe?
Yes.
It's great.
And he has little robots to do his bidding.
Yep. The pipes.
Which is as Silver Agey a thing as ever there has been.
Right. Yeah, I remember when Blood Type shows up, he grabs one of those little, when we say little robots, folks, we're talking, what they remind me of the Is from the Max.
Yeah,
the little, those guys that run around and they're that small to where they just fit in your hand. Well, Blood Type grabs one and just squishes it. And I didn't realize they were robots at first. I thought, oh my goodness, he's just straight up killing these things. Okay. But anyway, he takes on Dr. Falconer's role at the hospital now after saving somebody. And then we get the letter at the end, which is, well, I shouldn't say that, because at the very end, we learn about a guy by the name of, is it Hector? Man, I got to bring this issue up and look at this while I'm talking, because the ending part of this, if I remember correctly, was kind of strange.
Basically, Aztek's been narrating all along throughout the issue, but we find out that it's a report to whoever has sent him and trained him in this role. He says since Blood Type's dead, he's going to be the new superhero in Vanity, basically. And so then somebody in a high-tech room in snow-covered mountains is listening in and says, so, no more planning, no more training. Our warrior is finally in place, and there's nothing more we can do. Now we sit and we wait for the Shadow God to show his hand.
The Shadow God.
So there's some secret organization that has been preparing Aztek to fight some sort of monstrous, world-threatening entity, and that's what he's in Vanity to do. But being a guy who is concerned for other people, he decides, I may as well do a little light superheroing here.
Okay. All right. And then we get our letter at the end of this, which is from the Piper to his daughter. And it's essentially just kind of, it's 2 pages of prose pretty much of him talking about how he's scared and that he's just got, it's one more job and I'm out. And then he sends a picture of him and his wife to his daughter. So and it sounds like he's also in the process of possibly dying. He's talking about how his bowels weren't working right. I don't know if it's just because he's nervous or what, but
I think it was just because he's scared.
Okay. All right. I got this impression that he was not healthy either. But anyway, yeah. So the way the synopsis is written here, let me just go back to that real quick and finish that off. And so it says, a heartfelt letter from Dr. Kurt Falconer to his daughter. Mindy provides emotional depth, revealing his personal stakes and the weight of past regrets. Yes, he talks about that a lot too, about how he regrets what he has done. All right. I think I've butchered this synopsis enough. Let's go ahead, and that's it. That is the issue. That's what happens here. Next issue is going to be Green Lantern. So Green Lantern is going to be showing up. This is 96. That's going to be Kyle Rayner, right?
Oh yeah.
You gotta have a good strong guest appearance to get them to order extra copies of issue 2.
That's right.
That's what Wizard always taught me, is that second issues were traditionally under ordered, and so in Marvel that's usually when Spider-Man would show up. So, and honestly, I'm a little surprised that they didn't go straight to Batman. I think Batman pops up later, although if I'm not mistaken, Aztek may take on the Joker before he meets Batman.
Oh, interesting. Well, okay, let me get my notes out of the way here first. So this comic has a different feel than what I'm used to than in 96 coming from the big 2. This is a brand new superhero, and I know in 96, I think we're in the throes of number one issue, brand new superhero, number one issue. It might be winding down a tad bit, but again, you got a number one issue with a brand new superhero. You want to be on the forefront of picking that issue up. But when you start to read it, it just stands out from other stuff that I feel I was reading or that I've read from DC at around this time. Specifically, the lettering is definitely different. That's something that stood out to me, is how, now when I say the word balloons are fine, but the narration, some letterers have a unique way of doing the narration. This is different. It's almost kind of like robotic type font. But that stood out to me. I think that was one of the big things that stood out to me. The other thing is some of the violence that happens in this book is, well, we know who we got here. We got Grant Morrison, we got Mark Millar, and I think to me, it feels, it's not absurd, but the Piper feels absurd. He shows up.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got this big P on his chest. He's got all these little guys running around, and then the 90s bust in Blood Type's here.
Yeah.
And Blood Type just makes him regret even stepping foot into that bank. And there was this massive explosion. I think that's what caused the wreckage. All the Blood Type, when he's at the hospital, he's missing a leg, and they don't shy away from the blood either on this thing.
Well, there was one extra pipe robot that was not one of Piper.
That's right.
So
And-
apparently they were setting him up. I don't know if they were targeting Blood Type or trying to do something else, but Piper was just a means to, I assume, to get that bomb in there.
Oh, okay.
It's been a long time since I read it, so I don't know, but I'm assuming that that's what it was, because these big movers and shakers in the criminal underworld there that hired this ridiculous retired villain to rob a bank.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Failed superhero on their payroll, too.
I wondered if it was a failsafe, because if he didn't succeed and Blood Type showed up, or who knows, you said this may be revealed in the coming issues, but maybe it was there to kill Blood Type instead. They knew Blood Type would be there.
And it worked.
He's dead. So, but yeah, the level of violence is, it definitely feels like the 90s. It does have this bit of independent feel to me. As far as Aztek goes as a superhero, this is a brand new #1 issue. Aztek #1. He's a cool superhero. He's got this armor that he apparently can enhance by humming and stuff. Is that right? Is that what he said at the beginning?
I think that's how he controlled. No, it's mental control. He said it's kind of like humming your favorite song.
Okay. All right. So
one thing I'm pleased to report is that I've completely mastered the armor's density control mechanisms. I can still remember how difficult it once seemed to think the suit into a higher vibrational key. Now it's as easy as humming a favorite song.
Okay. So he's using
Yeah,
it's all
it's mentally
mental.
controlled.
Got it. But yeah, a new superhero in a way of giving you the real life experience put upon. Okay, well, yeah, okay, this guy's a brand new superhero showing up and he has no job, he has no social security number. What the world is he going to do in order to pass his time, in order to make money, in order to live? So that's interesting. That puts a neat spin on it. So, Chris, I'll throw it to you here, man. What'd you think of Aztek?
I thought it was a pretty good start, even though it was kind of jarring, like we talked about earlier, where it almost seemed like we should already know some stuff about this guy. In Stephen Harris, the pencil artist, he is pretty solid. The art, for the most part, he's got a couple of really good sequences. The sequence in the bank with Piper and then facing off with Aztek, all that stuff is really cool looking. It is interesting that I'm assuming Vanity had never appeared, the city, that they pretty much created it just for Aztek. It's always cool when DC gets a new fake city to add to its list.
Yeah.
Right.
Blood Type, that was the hero's name, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is coming off around the same time as Kingdom Come, where they had Magog as the
Oh, yeah.
sort of the 90s character that they want to almost like kind of poking fun at the way. I guess in Kingdom Come it's taken more seriously. I think here it's just they need a sacrificial lamb for whatever this plot is that they're going for. Morrison and Millar wanted to kind of poke fun at the extreme 90s superheroes, which is something that kind of became really trendy in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yep.
So I do appreciate it. I think it's cool. And as a silly 90s caricature, it's pretty solid. It has the bandolier type, the guns on his arms and stuff like that.
Targeting reticle that's on his eye.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I liked it. I'm going to finally finish off this series eventually. I've got it on Hoopla now, so I've only read the first one so far, but I definitely liked it enough to keep going and see how... It's only, 9 issues, I think?
Yeah. You're Kentucky Fried. Like, that's a different way of throwing fear into the heart of some evil doers. Yeah. So
I forgot that line for a second. I thought you were dishing out a burn to Chris, and I don't get it.
He is in Kentucky.
Oh,
but...
there you go. Okay, so I'm not totally out of on there.
No. Blood Type yells that one out. I think just what
That's
a goof.
right.
So, all right, Evan, tell us what you're thinking.
Well, I did enjoy it. I remembered what I think is kind of neat, and maybe I'm overthinking it here, but aside from Aztek, who's a hero for the new millennium,
That's
you've
right.
got Piper, who is a villain straight out of old school DC. The fact that he doesn't exist is almost surprising. He feels like somebody that Batman probably punched in the 60s. So aside from Aztek, you've got this Silver Age goofy villain complete with robots why would he have robots? I mean, I get it that they're pipe-shaped robots, but it's just because that's what villains do. They have robots and do weird stuff. And so then all of a sudden, as he's robbing a bank, before Aztek can do anything, in walks an Image cliche.
Oh, yeah.
Does it surprise you that there wasn't already an Image or some other newer company character named Blood Type? Or are we sure there isn't, actually?
Dude, that's definitely got to be on the 90s name generator.
Maybe I should go dig out the Ultraverse card series again.
Take a look and see if he's on there.
I bet he'd have a cool factor of 12 if he was.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Gotta keep that one going. But the point is, so you've got traditional goofy old school villain and the new 90s violent hero archetype, and then you got Aztek, who is a new hero. We don't really know what kind of hero he is. He doesn't really know what kind of hero he is. So it's almost like he kind of comes in between these two eras. And I thought that was pretty interesting because it's kind of tweaking and doing a nod to the different eras. Blood Type's a little over the top, but not a lot. The Punisher would probably be like, well, he talks too much. But other than that, give him high ratings, would recommend. So he's not that far off. He is a caricature, but not a very extreme one. So, and then I think it's neat. A lot of times with origin issues and first appearances, we get the character learning how to be a hero.
Yeah.
In this one, we get he's not quite supposed to be a hero, but trained apparently from birth to stand against some overwhelming force. That's a pretty standard superhero origin. So you've got him trying to figure out how to be the secret identity.
Yeah.
That's kind of a neat twist. Yeah, Spider-Man had trouble paying his bills. He knew how to. It was just difficult. There's a great moment, the one that really stands out to me about Aztek. I forget if it's in the second issue, but it's somewhere in the series where he gets mugged on the streets of Vanity, and he's like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, give us your money. And he goes, oh, you need money? Well, I have money. Here, have some of my money. And they're like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, you guys need it. I'm good. Go on. Because he's just like, oh, well, somebody needs something, and this seems like a good way to solve it without violence. So that's kind of cool, kind of turning it on its ear a little bit. He knows how to fight. He took down Blood Type just fine before the bomb went off. He can hold his own. He just doesn't know how to function day to day.
Right.
And so it was kind of cool. This isn't the first or the last story to give you kind of a sympathetic portrayal of a down on his luck failed supervillain, but they do it well, and it's cool. Even Aztek's concerned about the quote-unquote villain. He's concerned about the bystanders in the bank. At one point in his narration, he says, those of us with special abilities tend to forget just how fragile people are and how we endanger their lives and property every time we allow ourselves to become involved in stupid battle, which is pretty much the antithesis of most heroes, 90s or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it sets it up really neat. I wasn't, maybe because I'd read all this and I know some of what happens later, I wasn't caught too off guard about it. I just felt we were kind of learning along with Aztek. I could see this as a cool sort of pilot episode for a TV show, but what it is a cool setup for a comic book. I did already read it, but I'm trying to look at it through fresh eyes, and I want to read more about it. I want to see more about this guy and what he's up to and what his purpose is. It feels like we could probably come up with a very long list of people who were trained to fight a specific evil, and that led to their superhero origin and whatnot. But I'd follow. Of course, I also do know how the story ends because they didn't get to finish it in the series, and it actually ties into the climax of Morrison's JLA run. Aztek does come back.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
And
cool.
the evil that he was preparing to fight, it turns out, is also the evil that the JLA had been warned about from the beginning of that series.
Oh,
so
okay.
He does have a role to play in World War III, the climax to that whole run, and one of my favorite stories.
Okay. So, real quick question there, Evan. Vanity was this city that there were people on edge. Is that right?
Yeah, maybe store brand Gotham.
Okay.
It's not quite as bad and as hopeless as Gotham, but there's something wrong with it.
Okay. All right.
It ain't right.
Yeah, I got that sense. There's crime, and everybody seems to be under the influence of this crime. To spawn a hero, regardless, people knew who Blood Type was. When he showed up, people were frightened. You did not want to do evil in front of this guy, it seemed, or at least You didn't want to do something that would make this guy mad because you were going to pay. But I wondered about if the citizens of Vanity were aware of a bunch of criminal ongoings but yeah, you put it right. I get the sense of store-bought Gotham for sure.
Yeah. I almost kind of wonder if this wasn't something that maybe Morrison and Millar were thinking about for an independent book that they kind of plugged into DC continuity. Although, as more is revealed about Aztek, it is pretty connected to DC. But if you didn't see DC on the cover or see the next issue blurb for Green Lantern, there's really no other indication, I don't think, that this is a DC book. It feels like it's part of a larger continuity, but I think that's a testament to Morrison and Millar, especially Morrison's fondness of comic books and stuff, that he knows how to put all that in, because everything in this issue is brand new. I just looked it up. This is the first appearance of Vanity, the first appearance of Aztek, the muscle for the gangsters, the dude Synth that was part of the Vat Men, a team of corporate superheroes. That's all new here. So it feels like a really three-dimensional world, and it is part of a larger continuity, but none of these elements are part of the larger DC universe at this point.
Interesting.
Punching a hole in that theory is that we do learn that Aztek does have ties to a very well-established DC character. It's revealed eventually.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And that reveal I forget if that reveal comes toward the end of this series, or it might not even come until JLA.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if they were, hey, we got this idea. Okay, yeah, DC will let us publish it if we throw in some guest appearances and stuff. Or if they were just like, hey, we got this idea, let's make him part of the DC universe. I don't know kind of what order that came in. It'd be kind of cool to find out. I remember Marvel, the Sentry, Paul Jenkins came up with that idea as a pitch for Our Man.
Oh, really?
As a superhero who was addicted to his powers or whatever. At least part of that was an Our Man idea he had that never went anywhere.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. Well, let's go ahead and we'll pick a panel here. I already have mine, but I'm going to see if any of you guys are going to take it. So, Chris, I'll let you go first here, man. What's your panel of the book?
I believe it's page 11. And it's the first panel. It's just Blood Type swinging a solid left to knock Piper down, saying, playtime's over.
Oh, man.
The motion and the helmet kind of shattering and stuff looks cool.
Evan, what's your pick, man?
I'm going to go to the next page with Blood Type kind of poking Aztek's chest, telling him, hey, listen, you need to stay out of my way, or I'm going to mess you up like I did your friend over there. And Aztek just looking kind of, okay, we're going to have to come to blows.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I was close to picking that one as well.
Yeah, Aztek in most panels, he looks like your prototypical superhero, and in that, he's the small guy and getting told off by the allegedly more experienced hero. And we soon learned that Aztek is far more capable than Blood Type or we might have suspected.
For sure. All right, well, yeah, I'm going to go with Blood Type, a bloody mess laying on a gurney. And I'll tell you why. I think the reason I'm picking that is because that's where I was like, okay, this feels like, the extreme part of the 90s that I kind of would have wanted in the DC comics. You didn't get much of that. We had Bane breaking Batman's back. We had Superman actually dying, and that was a hell of a fight. But blood and gore was something that it felt like DC stayed away from. I would say Marvel was somewhat standoffish, but clearly the code was kind of there back then. And we've talked about the code in earlier episodes of Unspoken Issues and how it was kind of on its way out at this time. But Marvel was not Image. But right here, you can see that DC was like, okay, this guy got messed up bad and we're going to show it. He's missing a leg. The guy says the helmet's the only thing that's holding his head on. He got wrecked in that bomb. So I'll go with that just because it's the gritty, extreme, gory 90s on the page in one panel there for me. So that's where that's what I'm picking. All right.
But it also served the story. It wasn't just, hey, look, we blew this dude's leg off.
Oh, yeah. This is a big part of the story, actually. Blood Type dying and Aztek's going to, I assume, take his place. He's got to be a hero for the city because I don't know if he feels responsible, but he definitely thinks that you can tell he wants to protect people. And now this hero, in quotes, is gone. He'll probably need to step up. So there's our panels. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to talk about before we get into plugs?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
So-
All right. Well, then let's get into plugs.
Take it away, Jesse.
Aztek it away. This has been Aztek, the ultimate man, #1. And we are going to get into plugs. So we'll go with Evan Bevins first. What do you got going on over there at *51?
Check out asterisk51.blogspot.com. Speaking of excessive 90s violence, as we're recording this, I just listed my synopsis and review of Assassins #1, where DC and Marvel mashed up Elektra and Catwoman and Daredevil and Deathstroke as a lady.
Yes.
So that was a comic book that came out in the 90s, and it goes from gory to kind of funny to just really squirm-inducing. But that's the latest thing I've got up there. As you might expect, I will have a special post tying into the Republican National Convention. What better time to review Smokey and the Bandit 2?
Oh, boy. All right.
Chris knows what I'm talking about. That's not a random connection.
Oh, it's not. Okay. All right.
They don't need beer in Atlanta this time. They need an elephant at the Republican National Convention in Dallas.
I don't understand.
Really, that's it. That's what the bandit is smuggling.
Oh, an elephant?
He's taking an elephant to the Republican National Convention in Dallas.
Oh, that's crazy.
And he's got Sally Field and Jerry Reed to help him and Jackie Gleason on his tail.
Oh, look out. Look out.
That's a movie that I found at Dollar Tree, so that'll carry the hashtag Dollar Tree Cinema, and you can check those out. Well, that you used to be able to find for $1.25. Dollar Tree seems to be phasing out its movies.
Is it really?
It's a good thing I'm a hoarder, so I've got plenty of material left.
Oh, well, good. All right. Then over there, it's Chris Armstrong. You just released an episode today. I know this is going to air later, but you just released an episode of Small Screeners today, didn't you?
Yeah, I put out an episode. I do another podcast called Small Screeners where we talk about direct-to-video and made-for-TV movies. I had an episode on Men of War, the Dolph Lundgren actioner that is better than I expected. And I got an episode coming up soon on the Steven Spielberg TV movie Duel as well.
Sweet. All right, well, we'll be looking out for that. Ladies and gentlemen, you can check out the Source Material Comics podcast right here on the Source Material Comics feed, where we talk about any comics of any era. We have all sorts of great shows. Just recently, I think I released my discussion with Alexa Sena and Dorian Price on gargoyles. And I didn't know jack about gargoyles. Let me tell you, I know some stuff about gargoyles now. I did a whole AI primer for gargoyles. You can check that out. It's probably a 95, 98% AI generated, where you get to hear AI narrators read some of the stuff I put together for each character in the series itself. And then you can hear us talk about the book, first 6 issues of Here in Manhattan, which was pretty good. It was a fun discussion. And with that being said, we also talk about Unspoken Issues. We have 90s comics right here. They've got a bunch of them in the archive. And as we're talking right now, recently this past Monday, Chris, Evan, and myself, we were on an episode of where we selected 3 issues of X-Men Adventures that kind of took the animated series and put it in comic book form, which was episodes of that the X-Men animated series in comic book form, and it was good. It was really fun. And I think I also want to throw out Snap material. That's right, Evan and myself, we get together, we talk about the mobile Marvel card game Marvel Snap, and we just recorded 2 days ago our season recap and our ideas of what's going to be upcoming in the most recent season, which, by the way, Evan, I found out that season is called Maximum Effort.
Yeah.
Did not call it that at all.
I did not know that when we were talking about it. So
Me either. But I figured it out today.
I thought Chris was going to tell us.
Yeah, Chris is slacking on the Marvel Snap knowledge. I don't understand why he's keeping us in the loop. But anyway, yeah, you can check that out. Marvel Snap material, where we talk Marvel Snap, and it's a lot of fun. That should be in the archive as well. All right, with that being said, we're out of here. That's Chris Armstrong. Over there's Evan Bevins. I'm Jesse Starcher. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. Unspoken Issues is part of the UnspokenDecade.com, the home for 90s comics, blogs, and podcasts. Unspoken Issues also has a Facebook group you can join if you are interested. Just search the Unspoken Issues podcast and request to join. All of this would not be possible without w2mnet.com, so make sure to seek them out for more podcasts. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please feel free to share, and we look forward to entertaining you again soon.